Say hi, Koa. Hey everyone, so I said if this got enough interest, I would go ahead and make a video showing how I built this pad and where I got all the parts and how I assembled it. So I'm going to deliver on that. I'm going to do a full breakdown on how I assembled everything. I'm going to try and get into like the real nitty-gritty stuff with like the wiring and everything, because that was a little bit of trial and error on my end. So yeah, I'm gonna pull some of these panels off to start. I'll just go over briefly like some of the designs because the pad's already built, like I'm not gonna be able to disassemble a lot of stuff, but I have a lot of photos that I took along the way, so I can probably like post those up throughout the video, and then if people have more questions, they feel free to message me, and I'll do my best to respond. Here's the pad in all of its glory. Ignore the exposed wood right there for now. I did not finish cutting this sheet metal and putting it on there just out of pure laziness. I got so antsy, I just wanted to play. Which is why that's not finished. But alright, so yeah, I guess first things first, let's pull off one of these panels here. I can show you guys what it looks like underneath. You can see this is a real DDR arcade machine panel. And I will post links to where I got everything in the the description of this video. This is from this place called Arcade Spare Parts. I got that and the sensors from there as well. Yeah, so you can see here, this is basically like any ITG machine or DDR machine. You have your sensors here, and these angle brackets. They just go up and down like that. Same design that you'd see in a regular arcade machine. This is unplugged right now. I actually found throughout me playing songs that having this unplugged gives me way less pad crap, like misfires and stuff. So these three are all plugged in. That one's unplugged. The way I have it wired, that works. So you can press one sensor or all the sensors and it still counts as one input. So that was very crucial, and this all works. I'll go through a much more detailed design breakdown of that with how these Molex connectors are wired. But yeah, so you can see it's like extremely sensitive. It takes almost no pressure to make this work, which is why it's exactly like playing on an arcade. Basically, the only difference being this is a wooden frame and an arcade is metal, but you don't even really notice because the top being like sheets of steel bent over some plywood. Like you honestly can't even tell. It's pretty incredible. I guess the first thing I'll mention, these brackets here. It took me a little bit to come up with a good design for this and like what to use, because I really wanted to do this cheaply, because the sensors and the panels and like the steel here for this bar, this is 1¼ inch piping, and I had it threaded with these like mounting brackets at the bottom and these angle brackets up here, or not brackets, but angle piping. This is pretty expensive. I don't remember exactly how much this bar cost, but total cost for this pad was probably, I want to say probably like $400. It's hard to know because I had a lot of the stuff laying around already. For example, the reason why I don't remember why this bar, how much this cost, is because I had this old like precision dance pad that I was using this with, but I just reused it for this better pad. But yeah, those angle brackets. What I ended up using was, I went to Lowe's, believe it or not. I got these, they're called like nail boards or something. I don't know. They're like $1 a piece, if that. It was kind of time intensive, but what I did over here was put it in this vise and bent it down. So yeah, I put it in here, hit it with a hammer until it was like a perfect 90-degree bend, cut off the excess on each end, and then I have some like pictures of how I drilled the holes for the screws, but you can kind of imagine it. You see, real machines have 3. I only use 2, and it turns out that's completely fine. You don't need any more than 2. But so I used a Dremel and a drill with a titanium bit. I'll post some photos at this point. But yeah, this, you just need like, I think probably an inch worth of play in those brackets. So this eventually turned into that. So they're pretty sturdy. What else? Let me see. Yeah, okay. So next thing I wanted to talk about, this is probably the biggest fallback of this pad, and I'm probably going to come up with a new way of doing this, but these brackets are, you can see down there, it's a triangular piece of plywood. There's a screw in the center holding down the plywood itself, and then I have 2 screws here with some washers that holds down the panel. Due to like this type of stuff I play, so I'm like going for more like, you know, stamina, foot speed stuff. So I don't even really use inner brackets at all. So depending on how you play, you can make brackets if you want, but I don't have them because it just makes my shoes catch on them, and you know, that's no good. So I only have outer brackets, and this does a good enough job to hold down the panel so it doesn't pop up or like give you misses and stuff like that. I really want to revise this because I don't know, it's a little bit noisy sometimes. Some of the, like, you can't have this too tight or else it holds down the panel onto the sensor, and that causes like misses and stuff. But if it's too loose, it's like really noisy, and the panel slides a little bit. Although this does hold it in place. So you can see there's a gap here. So I was like slightly off in the dimensions of like the width of the pad, but it ended up not really mattering because this does a good enough job holding the panel in place. So yeah, all of the wood is, I guess. So the base is a sheet of plywood. I think it's 1/2 inch thick. This is what I did. Feel free to improvise, like do whatever you want. But so the base is 1/2 inch. The rest is 2x4s, and well, the rest of like the non-plywood is 2x4s. I'll post a picture here of what that looks like. Okay, I think the last thing I'll show you in this panel is just these pieces of wood here with some window. It's like trim you would have in a window seal, and just plywood cut in the size of that gap right there. And that's because, yeah, without that, the panel will like rock on the set because this is the only thing like holding it up in the center. If these aren't here, the panel will move. I tried playing around with it without doing that, and I had way more luck with just throwing one screw in the center of this and just holding it down with this foam, and I've had absolutely no problems with it at all. Yeah, and then just down here, I have this, like, I think it's for Christmas lights, believe it or not, but I just put a screw in the center of that, held down this plastic clip, and it helps keep the wiring like tidy and tucked together. What else? I guess sheet metal can be, that can be tough if you've never worked with it before. So I bought at Lowe's these huge pieces of like sheet metal. It's steel. Definitely get steel. Do not get aluminum. Aluminum rusts really badly with sweat, and that's just, that's inevitable with playing this game. So like this is a very cut down version of what that used to look like. This was like 3 feet by 1 or 2 feet, I think. And essentially what you do underneath all of these squares is just a square cut piece of plywood. And what I did was you measure the length of the plywood, length and width, and then you measure the size of the sides, and then you cut the plywood to the length of the sides plus the length and the width, if that makes any sense. And then you cut out squares for the corners, and you put this in the, I use this vise again. This vise was really cheap, by the way. This thing was only like $15-20. Oh, awesome. Yeah, but then you just bend it. You bend it to fit, and it eventually just like slides over the top. I know that was extremely, extremely vague and probably not super useful, but you can see here, like, that's cut. You can see like the little gap right there. So yeah. And then the difference with the centerpiece, so I don't have any screws, which is really nice. Again, so your feet don't get caught. Like here, I didn't even care. It's like, whatever. I'm not standing on that. So I just screwed right in to the wood. What I did here was pre-drilled the plywood right there. So there's 2 per side. And I screwed it in from the side there, and then I put liquid nails. It's just comes in a tube at Lowe's for like $2 underneath the top here. Like it's all underneath the sheet metal, and it came out really, really well. Like it works fantastically. And then so there's no wiring under this too. So let me, I don't know. Oh, should I do it? I don't know. I don't know if I want to take this panel off. This is where like the magic happens. This is where the UHID lives. You know what? I'll just do it. I feel like people probably want to see it. I'll get my drill and I'll take it off. Oh. All right. This is painful for me, so get ready. It's hard to film. Alright, hopefully this doesn't suck putting it back on, but this is, oh wow, okay, yeah. So down here is how all of this lovely arrow stomping action gets sent to the computer. This device here is called a UHID. It is, I think I got this for $69 on, I don't even remember the website name, but I will post it in the link, or in the, I keep saying that. I'll post it in the description of the video. And you see these pins here, right? So there's, I believe, let me double check. So each pin is one arrow, if you want to think of it like that. So really, there's a micro version of this UHID. I bought the big one. It's like the full-sized UHID, but they make a micro one that is cheaper. So if you want to save some cost there, you definitely can. I bought this in case I ever make a second panel. Apparently, you can just wire in. You can just wire the panel, the second one, to this, and it works that way too. Yeah, so this is like the wiring harness you can purchase along with this, the UHID. Here, I have one over here. I can show you what one looks like. They come double-sided, and you cut it in half. So like this is a totally usable one if I wanted to make a second pad. But yeah, you just cut it in half. And each wire, one wire goes to one arrow. Yeah, so a brief overview to how this works. So you're going to use a total of 5. For one pad, you're going to use a total of 5 wires on the harness. 1 being power, and then the other 4 are signal. And once I show you how the wiring works in more detail, that'll make a lot more sense. So you're only going to be using, 5 wires. It's 22 gauge wire. And then this cable comes with the UHID too, so you don't have to purchase that. But it's not very long, so I bought this USB extender. Works great. Yeah, seriously, so sensitive. It's awesome. Like, I'm just barely tapping it and it's moving. I love it. Alright, so I guess I'll talk about this while I'm down here, but you can see all these black wires. So I use black for power for everything. So every single one of these panels has black. You can see that black wire there. That's power. All 4 of those wires from each one of these panels all feeds back into here, and then there's one black wire off of the one pin down there that comes here, and they all get spliced together. So I took all 4 plus the one here, which makes 5, spliced them together, and then crimped it down with like one of these things you can get at any hardware store. You just use that with like the crimping tool, and it holds it together. So that's power. And then, each colored wire goes to one panel as well. So like this one was yellow. I used yellow here. That goes back and then connects to the yellow wire on the wiring harness, and then that plugs in. So let me show you how the interface like kind of works. This took a little bit of messing around with, but so there's a so when you buy the UHID, if you go to the website where you buy it, there's this thing called uconfig, and it's just an executable you download. And it's, so this is actually, I should have showed you this first. This is how every single one of those sections of the pins look. The blue one is like a ground, but this blue one also will work as power. So I have the black wire for power coming from this one. So don't ask me how it works, because I really honestly don't know. But so basically, if you look here, I have this is power, this is the black wire, and then this is like, I have each one of these wired and configured to one arrow a piece. So I'm only using the bottom 5, and the other 4 like are completely unassigned. So like, what you would do, you'll like click a pin. You come over here, and I have this one set to the right arrow, and you have it pick key. So that's this gamepad, key, and mouse button. Pick key, and then one of the options will be like right, left, up, down. I have this set to right. Down action, you do normal primary, up action clear. So basically, you press down on the arrow, it's a regular right action. When you lift off the sensor, it clears it. If you do anything else but that, it'll be bad. I found out the hard way. Basically, I had them both set to normal primary, and you hit it once and it never stops pressing. So don't do that. Make sure it's normal primary and clear, and then just wire it up the way you have it using this software here. And that's really all it is. It's great. The drivers are all pre-configured. This is all through Windows, obviously. I think there is Linux support as well. I thought about doing it with Linux. I have a couple Linux machines laying around, but I ended up just going with Windows because I got lazy, and it's easier. All you do, you plug it in, it installs all the drivers for you. Download the software, and you're good to go. This UHID is it's like a universal gamepad piece of hardware. It's fantastic. Without this, I know there's other ways to do it with like Arduinos and stuff like that, but this is by far the easiest way from what I've seen. Okay, so I have some thoughts on this project that I wanted to voice. Just things that I've encountered afterwards, after playing on the pad, after having done it. Things that I didn't expect. So like I said, I think the total cost was about $400. And to be perfectly honest with you, like, this is a big project. This is not something, if you don't have a lot of power tools, and the reason why I'm coming back to cost is because I was able to do this for $400 because I already own a ton of power tools. Circular saw, miter saw. I guess you technically could just use a circular saw for both, but it'd be a lot harder. A Dremel, a grinder for some of the the brackets for the sensors. Yeah, a drill. If you don't have that, that's gonna be, you have to get one of those for sure. I have the vise, just like the area to do it in. It's very very intense, and I'm not trying to scare anyone away from doing this. Like, you could if you don't have all that stuff, you could do this in stages. You could slowly build this out. But I mean, you've seen, like, look at my garage right now. It's in shambles, and this is after I've cleaned it up. It's just stuff everywhere. It's messy. So it's not for the faint of heart. I don't want everyone to see the final product and just think it was just slapping some wood together, some sensors and some wires, because I'm telling you, it's not. It's a lot of very precise, careful measuring. I measured like 7 times before I cut anything, because you really do get one shot, and if you mess it up, you have to go buy new wood and kind of start everything over. Yeah, what else? Yeah, oh, the tools too, like the crimper. So I'll show it in more detail in a bit, but like the Molex has this very very certain type of connector you need to like the pins, the Molex pins that go in the two like slots. You need a very specific tool for that. I think that was another like $25. So like little things add up. $25, on the surface, it's like not that much money, but when you're buying a lot of like $25 things over and over again, it does add up. Overall, I think everyone should give this a shot if they want to play. You're not gonna get a comparable dance platform for this price. You really are not. I guess if Impulse pads ever come out, then maybe that. But everyone's seen how that's been going. Not throwing any shade, I promise. I know it's probably been. I can't even imagine manufacturing after building this. I can't even imagine manufacturing a dance pad at that scale. Like, it's probably mind-numbingly difficult. So, no hate there, but I really wanted to play, and I kind of got tired of waiting. So I went with this route. Okay, so I'm going to... I think this phone's upside down. Hold up. There we go. Yeah, so I'm going to strip some of these wires, because I'm going to show you how to build one of the wiring harnesses in this panel, or that goes in one of the panels, I mean. And I don't want to like waste your time stripping the wires on film. So I'll be back in 1 second. Okay, so I'm going to go over how to build one of these wiring harnesses. So you'll have one of these per panel. I'm only going to build one. So you're going to need 4 Molex connectors per panel. So when you order these, it's going to come in a big sheet. You can see a bunch of them are missing. This is from my pad. You'll use 2 of these per Molex connector. So what you do is just bend them off. It's easier this way. Take one of those. Take one of these. Okay, so that's one. This is the tool I was talking about earlier. This is what you're going to want to buy. I've heard people can bend these without this, but it's not good, and the connection doesn't last very long. So definitely invest in like a good tool. Okay, so what you're going to want to do. So you have a yellow and a black wire. All right, this is power. This is signal. All right. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to kind of pre-bend it a little bit. This took me a little bit of getting used to, so it's really hard to see. But so there's these first. There's one like bump here, and then one there, and then the rest of the thing. I know that's not very descriptive, but you basically you're only bending down the first two tabs, if you will. So what I always do, so this is 22 gauge wire. So you use this tool and you line it up like this, and it clicks into place. So like that, as you can see. And if you look right there, you see the end of it is sticking out. You do not want to crimp the entire thing. Do not do that, or it will not go into the Molex connector. So you leave that side of it sticking out. And let's start with black. So you put this wire in here, and crimp all the way down. All right, got that right there. Doesn't go anywhere. It's very, very sturdy. All right. So what we're going to do next is we're going to get yellow and do the same thing. Put it in here. Center one. And this tool has the gauge, like you can see it right there. It has like the gauge of where it should go on it, so you know which slot to put it. It depends on which one you buy, so if you don't have the same one I do, it'll be a little bit different. But same thing applies here. Put that wire in there. Crimp it down. I just knocked everything off the table. Awesome. Okay. But anyway, so you have that. Here, let me pick that up. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So, next thing. This is important. You're going to notice when you look at the Molex connector here, there's one that is perfect square, and there's one that is sort of like a half circle on one side and then a square on the other. The one that is like rounded, like a half circle, is black. And you want every single one that is the half circle to be black. And you keep it consistent that way. So if you look down like the center of this connector, you're going to notice how the connector should go in. There's like a little tab, and it aligns. It only goes in one way, so you put that in there, and you're gonna hear like a click once you get it in correctly. It's a little bit difficult the first time you do it, but I may have overbent part of the tab. 1 sec. Yeah, this takes some like serious getting used to. This is by far one of the most tedious parts of building this pad. All right, so that's there. So I'm putting black on here. Connecting. You filming? All right, we're connecting the black one to the half circle there, and it clicked in. See that? It clicked, It's because I didn't crimp too much of it. It's like very snug. Like that's not going anywhere. So black, half circle, perfect square. We're going to do the colored wire here. Hopefully that clicks into. If just a pro tip. This is very, very annoying to do. A pro tip. If it doesn't click in easily, cut off the pin and just do it again, because that means that like something got bent that shouldn't have been bent. Don't force it in. It's probably not going to work. Like this one's being stupid. I may have actually like bent too much of this, but yeah, see, this one's like not working. It's annoying. So hold up, I'm gonna cut this off and just like redo it. Man, this is going to be one of the most tedious parts of like this whole project. Let me get a new one. And really, the secret is to not bend too much of the tabs. Like, you want the first two, and that is absolutely it, nothing else. Yeah, this is something that I wish I had known before I started this. Like, so there's like, yeah, it's a lot of trial and error. So. Yeah, so that one's going to be good, I can tell. You can see there's like two little wings sticking out of the side. And you want those to be sticking perfectly outwards. You don't want those flattened. So that's solid. So this, I guarantee you this one's going to click in no problem. So let's do that. Yeah. So yeah. Yep, perfect. See? You'll know when it's right when it doesn't have any like resistance. So this, so you have your first connector. This is going to connect to a sensor. The sensor's going to go here. This is where it starts getting a little bit complicated, and this is how you wire them all in a chain so that each sensor works on its own, and then like all of them work also as one input. So what you do basically is you take the yellow and yellow and you start twisting them together. This is why this tool is like so important. You generally just can't do this with pliers. And then you get another pin here and bend it a little bit to get the thing to fit. There. Put both wires in there, and then you crimp that down like that. It's a little bit more resistance, but it's not that bad. So that's like that. Same thing with black, right? That's what you want to do. You get black, you twist them here. Get another one of these pins, break that off, bend it up. Yeah, this is it. Make sure it's not crimping too much of it, and get the black one here. Put that in the hole. It's not overly crimped. Crimp it down. Make sure it's good. It is. So now we have a double connector right there. Get another one. Same thing. You do black with the half circle one, and then yellow is the square. So you look in here, and it'll make more sense when you do it yourself, but yeah, it really does only go one way. Doing black, half circle, hoping that it clips in no problem. And it doesn't because I messed it up. Okay, cool. Just pause it. Okay, so I had to redo these pins. I messed them up. So I'm putting black back on the one that's not a perfect square and lining it up, and it should just click right in. I think these pins, yep. See, it should be that easy. Like I said, if it isn't, just redo it, because that means you messed it up and it's not going to go in. I'm putting yellow in here, and it clicked in. It's that easy. That's how it should be. So what we're going to do now is repeat the process. So we're going to take a yellow to a yellow, wrap it around here. It's pretty straightforward, and you just do this until you have 4 connectors. So, 4 sensors, 4 connectors. It makes sense. Twist these up. I accidentally stepped on this whole set on the way in, so some of these are kind of smashed, but let me pull them together. There we go. Alright, cool. Get it back on here. Yeah. That should be good. You'll start to get a feel for it, like what works and what doesn't. But don't get discouraged. It's a very, very slow process. Like it's really like it's not easy at all. Alright, that one's good. I can tell. This one. Yellow in here. Alright, nice. That one's in. Good. Again, black. Half circle. Click. Perfect. Yeah, you'll get better at it the longer you do it. Trust me. This goes in there. Perfect. Very solid. Nice. All right, so we have 3 out of the 4. That's great. Last one. So wrap it around here. Get that nice and tight. I'm missing a yellow wire. Where's my yellow wire? I must have dropped it. Can you pause it? Wire. Let's twist these together like usual. Get more pins. I know this is very tedious, but yeah, it is what it is. Crimped. That's good there. Another one of these. Kind of bend it down by hand a little bit to make it fit better. Then there we go. Perfect. Put that in there. Perfect. All right. Last one. Black. Same as always. Perfect clip. And then yellow. We want right here. All right, so at this point, we have a wiring harness with 4 Molex connectors, and this is what's going to go to the UHID. So signal, power, black is power. So essentially think of it like this being in the panel. Say this is like the right panel or whatever. This wire is going to connect to all of the other black wires, and this is going to run up to the where the UHID is housed, and you're going to have every single black wire connected together and spliced, and then that all of those black wires will have one black cable that goes to the UHID. This is going to just be spliced to one signal cable. So any one of the cables, to be honest, it will work, but it's just a 1-to-1 connector. So this splices with one cable on the wiring harness, and it just goes right into the UHID. I know. I wish I could just rebuild it for you, but it's already assembled, so I can't really just build a second one. But yeah, I hope this was helpful. I have a friend who's gonna build a pad soon, so I'll reuse this, and it's not a complete waste. I'll give him this sensor. But yeah, so awesome. Okay, guys, so that's probably all I'm going to film for now. I hope that was really informative. I hope the wiring was useful. I know people are going to have questions for me because it is complicated. It's a lot of stuff to just infer from this one video. So just write comments, feel free to message me, and anything you guys need, just let me know. I'll do my best to answer it. One thing I will say, so the panels and the sensors, the 2 most expensive things you're going to end up buying. The shipping is insanely expensive. They ship from Hong Kong, and obviously this will be irrelevant probably in a year from now, but with everything with COVID-19 and the coronavirus, shipping might be shipping might be a problem right now. I don't know if it will be. I know Hong Kong has had some issues with shipping packages to the United States or Canada or wherever you're from, anywhere in the in the West, or the West. So keep that in mind. I'm sure it won't be like that forever, but if you do go on the website and there's problems with shipping, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the problem. So I ordered all this stuff right before this whole outbreak happened. So I got a little bit lucky, but yeah, keep that in mind. And thanks, guys. Really, let me know if you have any questions. Have a good one.